Hey, good day, everybody. I'm Steve Farrell, a co-founder and executive director of Humanities Team. I'm coming to you live from our studio in Boulder, Colorado. And as you can see, we have a very special guest and dear friend with us today. I'm going to introduce him properly in a moment, but Andrew Harvey. Andrew, thank you for being with me today.
What a joy. I'm thrilled. Thank you.
And Andrew, where are you coming in live from now?
I'm zooming in from Oak Park, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago where Frank Lloyd Wright did his wild stuff. And it's my home and I love it.
Okay, fantastic. Well, you're looking great. We sure appreciate you being with us, Andrew. And so, hey, viewers, thank you all for being with us. Of course, we do these live broadcasts every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. I want to shout out to Andrew's audience, the Institute of Sacred Activism, his friends and partners and colleagues, also our Humanities Team audience, our Humanities Stream Plus members who are here in the green room with us and may come on camera later, the Sign Network and John Raymer and all of the websites that they're broadcasting to. So, big shout out to all of you. Thank you for being with us. We are going to have a very exciting hour. There's a lot of stuff coming. Sparks are going to be flying. Get ready. So now, because it's a live program, we can get to your questions and your comments during the hour, especially where you post something in the first half hour. Because right here in the studio, these questions and comments come back to me so I can bring them right to Andrew. So if we're talking about something that's got your attention, post something and I'll bring it to Andrew here in the last half hour. The sooner you post, the better. Now, our theme today is the sacred journey of conscious evolution. And let me go ahead and give Andrew a proper introduction here. Andrew Harvey is the founder and director of the Institute for Sacred Activism, an international organization focused on inviting concerned people to take up the challenge of our contemporary global crisis by becoming inspired, effective, and practical agents of institutional and systemic change in order to create peace and sustainability. Sacred activism is a transforming force of compassion and action that is born of a fusion of deep spiritual knowledge, courage, love, and passion with wise, radical action in the world. The large-scale practice of sacred activism can become an essential force for preserving and healing this planet and its inhabitants. Today, Andrew is joining me to discuss the sacred journey of conscious evolution, the tools you need to start embracing your evolutionary journey and calling. We will also be diving into Andrew's brand new free video program that he has created in collaboration with Humanities Team and his fellow spiritual luminary, Dr. Jude Currivan, called Embodying Higher Consciousness. So again, welcome, Andrew, and so excited to be with you here this morning.
Big hug to all of you who are listening. If I could just expand my arms and embrace you all and thank you for turning up in this wild and challenging time, I would. I love you and I'm so grateful for you.
All right. Yes, we love you too. We're grateful for you. And of course, this is a conscious audience, all of the people watching. So the things we're going to cover may not be new, but boy, we're going to encourage the stretch, the big stretch into living even more deeply into our conscious journey. You got that, I'm sure, in the introduction that I just read for Andrew. That's what his work is about. Boy, he is a spiritual activist in the first degree. Actually, in 2010, Humanities Team gave Andrew Harvey our Spiritual Leadership Award for exactly this. Here we are 13 years later, and we're shifting up into a higher gear. So thanks again for being here.
We're just getting going there. Now is the time. It's come. The great crisis is bursting on us with its tremendous invitation to all of us to go a lot deeper so that we can go a lot further out in inspired, holy, sacred action.
Yes, exactly. And boy, this is not a sacrifice. I love the way you framed this whole journey with what we're journeying through, where we bring in, a healing, a personal healing,
Yes.
a dark night of the soul that we walk through. So, in fact, we've got a couple of video clips. We're going to go to the first one. This comes from this free program. We just created it. This is the first time we've ever shown this clip. Next week, we're going to broadcast for the very first time. This program is called Embodying Higher Consciousness, a New Way of Living on the Earth. We're broadcasting it on Wednesday at the same time, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. Andrew will be back with Jude Currivan next week. So here we go. We're going to go look at a video clip.
Jude and I were on Divine Crack, so it was enormously exciting.
Our team is saying they were swinging from the rafters. Wait till you see this. Here's a clip from it. We're going to look at it, and then Andrew and I are going to come back and talk about this clip. Here we go.
Well, I think one of the great liabilities of the New Age has been its inability to understand that suffering is sometimes necessary, essential, and always sacred. Anybody who has lived beyond the age of 30 must know that suffering has been a tremendous teacher in their lives. But when you come to the evolutionary moment that we are actually in, this dark night that is global, that is threatening us with extinction, not to understand that the suffering that it imposes is sacred is going to drive you out of your mind. Understanding that it is sacred, that it has meaning, that it has a precise, brilliantly intelligent purpose, which is nothing less than to strip you of your illusions so that you can discover a much greater creativity, a much greater identity, a far more expansive connection with the entire cosmos. Not to understand that, which is the great crown jewel of the mystical systems, is to be helpless and hopeless at a time of the most massive, amazing opportunity.
Wow, the crown jewel of this experience. Yeah. What a beautiful way to frame it. So this is this free program. It's called Embodying Higher Consciousness, a new way of living on the earth. We'll put the web address here on the screen so you can sign up for it. This is the one we're broadcasting, very first time, brand new program, Embodying Higher Consciousness, a new way of living on the earth. And we're going to broadcast it for the first time next Wednesday with Jude and Andrew live. And Jude Currivan, she's a wow, started the Whole World View organization. She's right there with Andrew as a female counterpart. Amazing. Do you want to talk a little about that message, Andrew, and this free program?
First of all, we are in a global dark night in which we all know the future of humanity is at stake. Let's be honest, let's be real, let's get down with that essential fact and face all the heartbreak, outrage, agony that it inevitably brings up. If we deny that heartbreak, if we deny that outrage, if we deny that agony, we're going to miss the alchemical depth of the evolutionary process that we are in. I want to quote to you my favorite Rumi poem, because Rumi became Rumi, this golden lava flow of massive sacred inspiration. He didn't just become Rumi, he was crucified and resurrected in his own being, just as now the human race is being crucified and potentially resurrected. So this poem isn't just a wonderful poem, it's the poem of what we are living through and gives you the map for what we are called to get in alignment with. The grapes of my body can only become wine after the winemaker tramples me. I surrender my body like grapes to his trampling, so my inmost heart can blaze and dance with joy. And although the grapes go on sobbing blood and screaming, I cannot bear any more anguish, I cannot bear any more cruelty, the trampler stuffs cotton in his ears and says, "It is I who am the master of this work. You can deny me if you want, You have every excuse. But when through my passion you reach perfection, you will never be done praising my name. I offer that poem to you as a for what is being asked of all of us. And what's being asked of all of us is three things. The first is that we find the courage through inmost spiritual practice to be able to accept the terms of this great evolutionary transformation. And the terms are that we need, all of us, as far as we can, with the sincerity of our full being, to die to the full self that has become hubristic and lethal to life. That's the first thing. The second thing that we need to align with is the map of the dark night that Rumi is giving. He's not saying that you'll just get through it sweetly and calmly and decently and nicely. He's not saying that. He knows from his own inmost experience, as I know from my inmost experience, as many of you, I bet, know from your inmost experience, that actually waking up to what is happening, to the million species that are on the edge of extinction, to the absolute inability of the world governments to do anything serious about climate change, to the fantastic deadness of the so-called spiritual world that is going on believing in rotten radioactive garbage, while what we need is a great mystical revolution. And I could go on and on and on and on. Without waking up to that and finding the courage to face that, we are simply lost. If you go to a doctor and the doctor says you have leukemia and you don't take it on, you have absolutely no hope in heaven or hell of healing. If you reel but accept, then you can work with the illness in ways that could lead to miraculous healing. So let's get real about that first stage. The second thing that we all need, if we're going to be part of this great birth, is to get with authentic mystical truth, not the popcorn-soaked nonsense that is being sold in the new age, because it's a catastrophe to deny evil, deny suffering, deny agony, deny the dark night at the very moment when accepting it is the condition of our evolution and could transform us. We've got to get with the primal message of all the great mystical traditions, which is you are born with divine consciousness. That divine consciousness is occluded by thousands of veils. You have to burn through those veils through intense spiritual practice. And if you do the real work, you will come as a savage grace to the moment when the divine decides to kill you personally and resurrect you personally. The dark night is not a failure. It's a massive opportunity to lose everything in you that prevents you from being born into your innate glory, magnificence, freedom, chutzpah, passion, and dedication to giving your entire life as an offering of joy for the future of humanity. And the third thing that we need to get aligned with is that this great evolutionary transfiguration process that we're in, nothing less than a crucifixion resurrection dance, demands of us two related things. And this is the theme of the big book that I've just produced, which is the manifesto of my whole life with Carolyn Baker, called Radical Regeneration, Sacred Activism and the Renewal of the World. An unpompous title, wouldn't you say? What we're saying is this. The two things that are demanded of everybody is First of all, that we realize that we're in something very much bigger than a transformation. It's much bigger than a transformation. It's a transfiguration. It is a transmutation. It is a vast evolutionary crisis that is being perfectly and brilliantly and lethally and ruthlessly and lovingly ordained for us so that the human being can be transformed into an embodied divine human being capable of co-creating with the divine a wholly new way of being and doing everything. And if you look at science, and when you read the book Radical Regeneration, you see that we're very, very keen on science. We're not dissociating us from science because science is revealing the truths of all of this. And if you look at evolutionary science, you see that evolution does not progress in sweet, new age, gradual, topsy-wopsy kinds of ways. Evolution progresses by very, very extreme crises which compel the species to mutate or die out. That's what evolution has done again and again in its progress. It's created crises which has threatened the very existence of species and then compelled them to find within themselves the power, the passion, the life yes, the great yes that has enabled them to mutate, to adapt. That's how it's worked. And the other thing that we need to align ourselves with is the supreme gift that has been given to us in the 20th century, which is the gift of the sacred power of sacred activism. This has been my life's mission. I've had two life's missions. One is to get the truth of sacred activism out, and it's now global. The second is to get the truth of the transfiguration process, which I've done in this new book and which I'm doing in the teachings that I'm giving for humanity's team, because they go together. If you want the power and the grace and the intensity and the focus and the joy to be a real sacred activist, then plunge into mystical practice, align yourself with the transfiguration process, and the strength and the intelligence and the wisdom that you'll be fed directly by the divine will give you the courage to burst out of the chains of slavery and paralysis and addiction that have afflicted us for so long, which are so convenient to the patriarchal powers of cold evil that want us incapacitated, will give you the freedom to step into your magnificence and become, at last, free, embodied divine human beings capable of co-creating with the world force of love both a new human race and through that a new world. And all the teachings that I've done for humanity's team in this program are dedicated to making that as razor clear as I can. And I hope I've been able to.
You have, yes.
In fact, I know I've been able to, actually, because for some reason the gods came down, and I love humanity's team, and I gave the very best and clearest teachings that I've ever given. So if anything that I'm saying moves you, please plunge in.
Let me tell you that we spent 2022, so a year, with Andrew and Jude Currivan creating this free program, Embodying Higher Consciousness, a new way of living on the earth, and then a masterclass that we'll unveil next week. And this is the first time we've shared its name. It's called The Sacred Journey of Conscious Evolution, Regenerating Yourself and the World Through Science and Divinity. So, Andrew, that was amazing. The thing that comes to mind as you were talking about this journey through the dark night is, wow, what a glorious journey. But also, as you paint that picture of all of what is involved, isn't it nice to have some hands to hold, your hand and Jude Currivan's hand, as we're walking through all of the things that you shared, which, you know, some of them can sound a little scary, even though you're saying it's don't come from fear. You know, this is the greatest thing that will ever happen to you. But still, as you describe what's involved, it'd be nice to hold some hands walking through on this journey, would it not?
Yes. Well, I myself have been through a 10-year dark night in which my life was threatened and my sanity was threatened many, many times. So I know how terrifying it can be. And I myself had very few companions during that time, so I know how essential it is to have companions. The companions I had, however, are the companions that I've offered you both in my book and in the classes. The companions that sustained me and nourished me were Rumi and Kabir, the great universal mystics who themselves knew that death process led to the resurrection of the divine human. And when I was going through that process is when I realized, oh my God, what an absolutely astounding resource we have in the great authentic mystics who are not flattering us, who are not telling us that it's going to be easy, who are quite aware of the horror and madness and pain and suffering that we need to go through, but constantly saying to us, hang in there, link hands, support each other, love each other, encourage each other, allow each other's hearts to break open together, encourage each other to use that heartbreak to step up and really start doing something authentic about what's going on, and you'll discover something amazing, which is that through your dying to your old self, a wholly new self is being born, and that will be revealed to you. It won't prevent you from going through a great deal of pain, but if you really know the map, which is what my book is presented, what these teachings are presenting, then you will be encouraged to go so deep within yourself that you find that connection with the divine. And through that connection, the divine will be able to shower you with visions, with powers, with clairvoyance, with all kinds of absolutely extraordinary gifts, which will shape you up and make you what you are all destined to be, warrior midwives of a new reality.
Yes, they are. So, and again, as I mentioned in the introduction, we started working with Andrew in 2010. Now, you may recall that was the very first year that we celebrated Global Oneness Day. It's since become a Global Oneness Summit and grown into this huge thing with hundreds of people coming on. But as was mentioned, now is our time. We were talking about this back then, but we don't have the luxury of time. And I don't think people so much want to just sort of categorize this as, oh, that's an awakened journey, conscious living, interesting, but not urgent, not important. Increasingly, coming out of COVID, where we're in this deeper reflection and where we're looking out on the world, we're saying, these shootings in the U.S. and so on, we're saying, my God, there is a first domino. There is something that we can embrace, that we can become, we can express, we can experience, that changes all of that individually and collectively. It's what Andrew's describing here. It's this whole awakened journey, this whole journey into conscious living, where we understand our divinity, that there's one presence, right? It's a divine presence, and we can call it there's something else if we like, love or life or cosmos or universe or something. But there's one presence. We're an embodiment, an expression of that. There are 8 billion faces of that one presence here on the planet. And when we live into it, in the fullness of it, and you can see Andrew's passion. We've got people coming in with comments that, wow, I didn't realize, I'd heard Andrew Harvey's name, but I didn't realize how passionate he was. This is Andrew Harvey. It's the one we knew back in 2010. And if you've ever had the pleasure of going to his live programs or reading his books, and now he's got this new free program, new masterclass with the Humanities team. Boy, this is the guy that you'll come to know that has walked this journey himself, and now he's holding hands of people walking that journey into their full divinity.
I think a lot of the real teachers on the planet now are teachers who've been through their own dark night and discovered the radiance of what's on the other side. Don't go to teachers who haven't been crucified and resurrected. They're not going to help you. But those who have are absolutely stretching out their hands to you too, because I know where you are. You're terrified. You're paralyzed by what you're seeing. You're absolutely beginning to understand that a lot of the teachings that you've been given are rubbish. And you're anxious to find the reality of truth because you know, and you're beginning to know, that only truth, however scary some of its aspects may be, can give you the strength and the courage and the joy and the fearlessness to go ahead. And that's why those of us who've been through our dark nights and been resurrected in divine identity and divine passion are now on the earth, opening everything we know to you. I am pouring out absolutely everything I've ever learned and been given. I've written 42 books. My new book took 5 years of incessant work, which I did with my friend Carolyn Baker, because I knew and she knew that the time would come, in Kabir's words, when love's hurricane is here. It's here. We don't have time. We need truth, and we need to embody it, and we need to act from it. However raggedly and wildly, together right now, for humanity to have a ghost of a chance. You know it, I know it. Let's get going.
Let's get going. So I'll just share one more time, name of the free program. So Embodying Higher Consciousness, a New Way of Living on the Earth. It's with Andrew Harvey and Dr. Jude Currivan. And sign up for it. The very first viewing will be Wednesday next week at the same time. Andrew will be back live. Jude Currivan's going to be live with us also. Now, for those that want to go deeper, they did create with us this masterclass. It's called Sacred Journey of Conscious Evolution, Regenerating Yourself and the World Through Science and Divinity. We're going to go to a clip here of Andrew where he's taken St. Francis's prayer and he's modified it so that it can now apply to the whole of humanity. Let's go look at this clip, and then we're going to come back and talk about it.
I'm going to begin by a prayer, my favorite prayer, the St. Francis prayer, but it is changed slightly to make it universal for all beings now facing what we are all facing. Beloved, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O beloved, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. It is in dying that we are born to eternal life. That last line has a particular significance in this great evolutionary crisis that we are in. It is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Because what I have learned on my journey, through the help of the great mystical teacher that I'm going to introduce you to in a moment, through my own study and initiation into the world's major mystical traditions, and through my own inmost experience, is that this global dark night of the species that we are in, and all the major teachers from all the religions are acknowledging this global dark night of the species does not signal necessarily the end of humanity, but the birth of a humanity that has died to its illusions and fantasies of separation.
Okay, and we're gonna talk about this, but let me share. You saw Humanity Stream Plus. So, for those that don't know, this is our conscious streaming platform. It's a true conscious streaming platform, which means it's one click, just like Amazon or Netflix. In the industry, it's actually the only one right now that's a true one stream, one click platform. So you come down actually automatically without even clicking, and then if you want to go over. Andrew has 6 other programs right now on Humanity Stream Plus. You want to go over to catch some of his other ones, just go over horizontally. You can go grab it and then come back. And my mother, who's 89, can't get lost, and she's technically challenged. So it's Humanity Stream Plus. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. So for people that don't know, Humanity's Team is a nonprofit. So that means our delight is in taking the price down, not up. So we've dropped the price twice. We now have a monthly price. There's a 1-for-1, so we give it away for free, especially outside the U.S., where people, $39.99 a month and $3.99 its current price. That's just too much money outside of this country. And there are a lot of people on the conscious journey. And as you know, our vision, what we were downloaded, was to make conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040 in 18 years. So by God, we're going to get. We want to get this platform into every home and every region of the world and every language, because like this masterclass here, you go through this 16 module masterclass with Andrew and Jude, and I promise you, if you were not conscious, you will be on the other side. You can't go through this program and the live mentoring with Andrew and the live mentoring with Jude and come out and just see sort of separation and a lack of divinity and a lack of abundance. You just can't see that. Because the aperture of the camera is coming in and focusing on all of these things that are ultimate reality. That's why also why so many people are paying attention. There's the understanding that, oh my God, we're not talking about something we need to create, divinity and oneness and so on. It's already here. We were walking around in some illusion, for God's sakes. I don't want to walk around in an illusion anymore. So that's what Andrew and Jude are holding people's hands to walk in the fullness of presence, of reality, of ultimate reality, our everlasting life, our unlimited potential. And I love that Andrew doesn't pull any punches here and says, there's some of this, in fact, you say, it's kind of this new agey thing. It's beautiful. It's a magic carpet. No, there's a lot of challenge, and we all know there's a lot of challenge on this journey, right?
Well, it's not just that. It's a false beauty they're selling. It's a beauty that flatters the ego. Beauty of the divine self is far more astounding than the beauty of being able to manifest Malibu mansions and all the rest of the garbage that is being offered, an entirely materialistic, narcissistic spirituality. That beauty just traps you more in the ego. The beauty that springs you free of the ego is the gorgeous power and divine splendor of the authentic presence you will discover you are when you died to the false self. That's a beauty that not even Rumi could properly express. He was just stammering in his astounding work to begin to express it. But you and I can experience it, and that changes everything. However, that beauty costs something. It costs passionate sincerity of the quest. You have to really dive deep and seriously practice to turn up in the relationship with the beloved. It requires that you put what you discover of that beauty into real action in your ordinary life, but in your life as a citizen, in your life as a warrior midwife called to be and do something in this vast crisis. And it requires that you never give up. You never allow the agony to paralyze you, the terror to make you afraid, the appalling cruelty and corruption that are bursting everywhere in flames, to swerve you from the truth of what you're beginning to know and to be. And if you can do those three things, and you can, because courage is available in the relationship with the beloved, then you'll discover for yourself that this dark night is the birth canal of a new you, a new humanity, a new world. And that will flood you with beauty and guts.
Yes, it does. And people maybe know my story. I was in Silicon Valley, where just like New York City, there's a lot of financial wealth. But oh my goodness, what we're talking about here now, the deliciousness of life, the true prosperity in all of its forms. This is where it is. It is not
the true prosperity is justice.
Right. Yes.
Yes.
This is and where we see our oneness and just, is where we understand other people are a part of ourselves. This Mother Earth, Gaia, she is a part of us. She has a soul, just the fullness of life and possibility. And where we're in loving service, oh my God, this is where the deliciousness of life is. This is where true prosperity is. And I've seen it. I've lived in the land of Silicon Valley, where the financial wealth is indeed huge and enormous. But oh my God, it's one of these. It's
Look
got
what
a
they're
shiny.
doing with it. Absolutely nothing. These billionaires are spending it on buying Twitter and fantasies about going to Mars, when the world is groaning in agony and their billions could be doing absolutely amazing things. The problem is that they haven't been struck blind by the beauty of the divine, and haven't been humbled, and haven't been shown that they've been given the money to make amazing things possible, which would realize the greatest joy imaginable in themselves. This is the fatality
at some point
of our culture, isn't it?
Yeah, and evolution says we're all going to get there. We will all awaken, and some, right now it's kind of a kicking and screaming exercise because of what's going on out in the world. So we're all going to get there. We will all awaken to our divinity.
The road may be wild, but we will. The mercy is extended to all. Yes.
And we love Andrew and Jude Currivan. Again, if you don't know her, you're going to love meeting her too. And to have hand holders through this.
She's such an astonishing force, because Jude is a being who combines the deepest mystical knowledge with the greatest and most expansive scientific knowledge, and has found the inner way to combine and fuse the two in ways that continue to blow my mind and blow the mind of her many, many readers, but in ways that are so beautifully crafted and so simple that she's able to communicate the thrill of the new story that this marriage of mysticism and science offers us. I believe the mystical sciences, I believe that the mystical systems are scientific. It's been my experience that when you dive deep into them, you realize, oh my God, their understanding of the stages, their understanding of the different kinds of challenges is so perfect, because it's been honed over hundreds of years by humble, brilliant people. It's not like the creation of the New Age, which people seem to have invented on pot or in the bath. It's something that they've been honing in the laboratories of monasteries and of deep, deep, deep societies, secret societies, and it's available. And what Jude knows is that the laws of the new science are reflecting these mystical laws in astonishing ways. So I'm bringing the science of mystical transfiguration and sacred activism. She's bringing the mystical science of the new science, and together we're telling a new human story, which I myself find thrilling and empowering. And I've learned so much from Jude, and I think vice versa. We've been cross-pollinating in ways that I hope will pollinate you.
They will. They absolutely will. Don't miss. Join us if you can for the free live broadcast. Again, same time next week, Wednesday, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. where we're going to very first time unveil this program, Embodying Higher Consciousness. Then they're going to answer questions live. Andrew and Jude, I'll be there with them to talk about the free program, their new masterclass, Sacred Journey of Conscious Evolution. Wow, you don't want to miss it. And this is, as you know, Humanity's team has an initiative called Changing Humanity's Future. It's an 18-year initiative, Make Conscious Living Pervasive Worldwide by 2040. It's very aligned with this Institute of Sacred Activism that I mentioned, when I was introducing Andrew. He's going to join us in one of these meetings here when we do our next one in March, April. But when we talk about that in that initiative, we're talking about it globally, where we're together on this journey to an awakening of the entire planet. It starts with ourselves. It always starts with the individual. It starts with, what are the tools that we're bringing into our life to deepen our conscious journey, to awaken us fully? So that's where it starts. And that's why this program is so important, because we're going right down into it. We're going to walk through the fire, the fire pit. And with Andrew and Jude, and they've walked through it. They'll explain it every step of the way. They'll be there. They're actually doing live mentoring during this second program, where they come in to answer any question that you have. They can see you on camera during the live mentoring. So be sure to get to watch the free program, get yourself educated, because this is really just a wonderful, wonderful treasure chest of tools to deepen our conscious journey and our own personal awakening. So now we have a bunch of questions here. So first there's this comment I mentioned, referred to earlier from Joanne. She says, how is it possible that I was not aware of how dynamic and passionate Andrew is? I've heard his name, but was completely unaware of his divine missions. What is the name of his new book again? So that's a question to you there, Andrew.
Oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. My new book is called Radical Regeneration and Sacred Activism and the Renewal of the Planet. And I wrote it with Carolyn Baker. It's out from Inner Directions. It's actually, Carolyn and I decided to take a journey together, and we wrote 4 books, and we didn't want anybody to publish them because we're sick of being controlled by the New Age publishers who always want you to soften things down and to lace everything with nougat and chocolate and little popsy-wopsy practices. We didn't want to do that because we're elders. We want to tell the truth, which is much more frightening and much more beautiful. So we spent 5 years writing 4 books, and then Inner Directions had the courage to say, we know that this is the Bible for our times. We feel that this is the most responsible, most naked, most vibrant, most useful book, and we are going to put the whole muscle of our publishing firm behind it. We said, fine, but you're not going to change one single word. We're not going to play patacade, where we have risked our lives, we have given our lives to this mission, and we're going to get it through, whether you publish it as we want it or not. They said, fine. And they poured their whole machine behind it, and it's having the most astounding response, because through grace, it's coming out at exactly the right moment, when people have been flayed alive by the pandemic, by the collapsing climate, by Trump, by the whole madness that we see bursting out everywhere, to be ready to receive the real stuff, not the fake stuff. So don't go to Radical Regeneration if you expect to be told that you're fabulous as you are. You are fabulous as you are, but you may not know quite how fabulous you are. Don't go to it for that. Please, please plunge in. It's. If I died now, I would be happy, because I've fulfilled part of why I was born on the earth, and why I was born on the earth was to get this book out at this time, and then get these teachings out, which I did just before the book came out, quite consciously, to help prepare people for the fullness of the book.
Yes, he did. And wow, again, the passion, people are coming in. I'll read some more comments here, and they're going, oh my God, this is amazing. And this is infused.
It's so interesting. Let me just say something about that. I think one of the things that I have been so profoundly shocked by is the demonization of passion in the New Age. How many times have you been told, you're excessive, don't be outraged, don't be angry at injustice, that's not awake? How many times you've wanted to howl and repressed that howl because you've been told that that howl is somehow a sign of your own lack of spiritual knowledge? That's blasphemy against the heart. The heart is wild with love. The heart is passionate. And one of the things that I am absolutely dedicated to is returning, through my own example and pointing to the great example of the great mystics, to returning divine passion as a birthright to every human being. It's not an emotional passion, it's a passion grounded in divine peace, but it's the force of love living in us. And when you connect with it, you are given unbelievable amounts of energy and clarity. And that's the reason why they've demonized it, because they don't want you to get to that passion. Because once you get to it, they can't control you. They can't tell you what to say. They can't tell you what to feel. And they can't silence you. And they can't make you believe in their program, which by now you must see is lethal and killing everything. Passion is the gift of the mother. It's the gift of the divine feminine. And both women and men who receive that gift will be radically empowered by it.
You know, in Conversations with God, of course, Neil Donald Walsh, co-founder of Humanity's Team, and it says, you kill passion, you kill God. Isn't that interesting? That's what it says. Yeah, it says if you kill passion, you kill God.
They've done a fantastic job.
That's what God says in the book.
They killed Jesus' passion. They've tried to kill the passion of the mystics again and again. They've succeeded in killing the prophets. And now we have a whole spiritual movement which is comatose, dead, paralyzed before the darkness, and making passion into something demonic rather than something divine. That's a dreadful success on their part. But don't worry, we're here. I'm here, the others are here, and we're not going anywhere. We're going to encourage you to catch fire with divine love and discover the power that passion can give you to really put your whole life where your heart is.
That's right. We're shifting up, pivoting in this big direction, stretching, you know, and that's what this is about today, every day, next 18 years, rest of our life. But where we know ourselves as everlasting life, know ourselves as unlimited potential, know ourselves as divinity itself, eyes and arms of divinity itself. I mean, wow.
And
we're talking about a delicious
it's
life.
very important to put that in there, because you can talk about light and that's beautiful, and what you're saying is real. But the alchemical element that brings it all together, that fuses it, is passion. Yeah. Because without your whole being suffused by love, by wild, holy, indefatigable, undauntable, passionate love of God, of humanity, of the creation, you can have all kinds of wonderful experiences, but they will never crystallize you and never birth you into a divine human being. This is the essential message of Rumi, of Jesus, of the prophet, of all of the great mystics. They all know this. And this is the ingredient that has been missed in this rubbish New Age thing that we've been so showered with. They've missed the key alchemical ingredient. It is divine passion.
Oh, yes, and underscore and highlighted. You're so right. And it is not often in the conversation. So how fantastic.
Well, of course not, because it's inconvenient for the conversation, because it makes you a rebel. It makes you somebody who's fearless. It makes you somebody who really says, is the guru system real, or is it just another patriarchal exploitation system? Is it really enough to just go on manifesting mansions and thinking about you getting fabulous and thin and appearing on Oprah? Of course not. That's a crazy narcissistic reaction to the potential death of the planet. So it makes you a very inconvenient person. And they've tried to marginalize me, but they couldn't get rid of me. Here I am. So that's fine. Look, listen, if you don't want to listen to me, and I can give you 1,000 reasons for not listening to a wild old Englishman with sciatica, I beg you to listen to Rumi when he says, passion burns down every branch of exhaustion. Passion is the supreme elixir and renews all things. So don't sigh heavily your brow bleak with cynicism and boredom. Dare to look for passion, 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 passion. He says it 5 times. And then he says, run away, my friends, from all false solutions. Let divine passion triumph and rebirth you in yourself. A lot of people claim to have had experiences of divine love, but I bet many of you know that when you come through grace into the living experience of that molten, gorgeous, ecstatic bliss force, that is the core of the creation, you experience a passion that absolutely overwhelms you, drowns you in its ecstatic beauty. And what Rumi is saying, what all the great love mystics are saying is, let yourself be drowned in it. Let it suffuse you. Let it soak your mind, your heart, your cells. Let it penetrate the very essence of your bones, because if you do, oh my God, you will be reborn as a living flame of its great flame, a warrior midwife, sacred activist doing the work of the great transfiguration process that is the deep meaning of our crisis. So without passion, nothing. Don't fool yourself. But don't be frightened of passion. Don't let them scare you away from your passion. Your passion is the most beautiful thing about you. You know that. You know you're never more you than when you're filled with that holy passion that might be deeply annoying to everybody around you. But let them be annoyed. They need to be annoyed. They need to be galvanized. Dare to be the first to step out into that fire and catch fire with it. And after a while, it may take you as long as it's taken me, but that's fine. You're brave. They'll get ignited too.
Yeah. So sometimes I am connecting.
Passion.
One of the things I've shared is the magic of all of this, but that the magic for me is tied to this deep love, which is this passion that you're talking about, where we just find ourselves loving God. We're loving God, and God and life are interchangeable. So, right, God is life, right? God is the creator and the created. Yes. So we're loving. And when that love turns all the way up, that's for me, that's this passion that Andrew's talking about, is turned all the way up. And you're in loving service. You are just in loving service. Wow. And this is the deliciousness of life.
In mischief making and in making good trouble. It's loving service, but also daring to tell the inconvenient and sometimes insulting truths, and daring to take the flak. My life has been threatened many, many times. I went through 2 years of death threats every day. I've had endless derision and insult, but because I know my Redeemer liveth inside me, as me, and because I know the holiness of divine passion, I have never softened it, and I have never given up. Because I know that my job as a lover of God is to ignite that passion in others. So it's not you're going to have to be brave when you incarnate that passion. You're not going to be necessarily loved for it. Sometimes you'll be hated, sometimes you'll be derided, sometimes people will say terrible things about you, sometimes people will spread lies about you on the internet. Just accept that. That's what you have to accept as a true lover. Let them play the games they want to play, but you play the great game out of love for the beloved and humanity.
That's right. Love of the beloved, humanity, and life. So here's some comments. Let me bring some in. Connie Baxter Marlowe, so she's in our green room. She wrote the Truth Frequency, which is an amazing book. And she says, so wonderful that you're bringing science and
Truth Frequency. That's
the Truth
fantastic
Frequency.
title.
It's a fantastic book.
Yes.
She's got programs on Humanity Stream Plus also. So she says, so wonderful that you're bringing science and sacred activism together through Jude and Andrew. What a synthesis. I'm sorry, I meant to say trust frequency, the trust frequency. So
That's
yes,
too.
And Connie's a beautiful person. So then other people coming in here, George says, I'm pollinated and ready. Andrew, you are an incredible and passionate speaker. Nancy says, in dying we are born, dark night, go. And Aura says, yes, there is much challenge. Yes, it is so worth it. So, and they're all putting exclamation marks on this. Louisa says, is Jesus part of the solution? So might be worth, coming in. Yes. Yeah. With
you
this,
kidding
Andrew.
me? Jesus is the supreme sacred activist of history. If you ask, is Christianity part of the solution, I would have bowed my head. Christianity has systematically betrayed the authentic, radical, revolutionary power of Jesus' message of love in action. And I'm at the moment engaged in a book on writing about Mary Magdalene, and I am utterly desperate and shocked by what I've discovered in the ways in which the church silenced this gorgeous woman, silenced the truth about Jesus' sexuality, silenced the passion that's born from the Tantra. My God, what a job the Boys Club has done in entombing and crucifying the message of Jesus. But when you come to Jesus naked, as we all can, I wrote a book called Son of Man, which 20 years in the making. I wrote it when I was in my late 40s. And that'll help you get to the real Jesus. The real Jesus is saying, this system is insane. It's cruel, it's lethal, it's unjust. But there's a huge force of dynamic love in action within us that if we tap into it and if we come together in its name, can build the kingdom queendom on earth. He has the entire message, and it's not a religious message. That's what they try to do. They try to take the message, package it, brand it, Oprahify it, so that they could control everybody. Jesus' message is one of radical liberation of the whole human race, an introduction of the whole human race to its essential divinity, and through the resurrection, the sowing in the human race of the possibility of the birth into embodied divinity. That's how great the real Jesus is. Our supreme sacred activist, our supreme radical evolutionary. Much more interesting than the founder of some boys' club religion that tells us we can't play with ourselves on Wednesday and makes us feel horrible about our bodies and humanizes women and says that anybody else who believes anything else is doomed. All that absolute radioactive horseshit, which is totally not what he came to give.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
So I think so. Yeah. So beautiful. Yes. Thank you. And
Jesus
boy, we're
with my whole heart, and thank God I've met him in this life. It was a vision of Jesus, the resurrected Jesus, that prompted me to devote my life to sacred activism. So I feel through grace that I have been initiated into this force through him. And he'll do it for anyone on any religion. He's not concerned about religion. Are you kidding me? He's concerned about the future of humanity.
He's right in here. The afterlife, of course, is supporting this. Boy, Jesus is in here huge, supporting this whole shift that we're that we're talking about. His Sermon on the Mount.
It's the shift.
You want to look at the most radical.
With that radical love, nothing.
Yeah.
I had a teacher, a great teacher, and I introduced you to him in my teachings, and his name was Father B. Griffiths. He was the greatest Christian mystic of the 20th century with Thomas Merton, and he was my beloved and I was his. And he told me one day, he said, look, the second coming isn't going to be the return of some Star Wars avatar. Are you kidding me? That's the fundamentalist fantasy, and we see where that's got them. The second coming is going to be the rising in millions of people through the dark night of the golden yeast of dynamic, embodied love consciousness. So it's not that Jesus is coming back. It is that the Christ in us, the love power in us, is going to rise through agony and horror and also through revelation and joy in this time. That's the second coming. The second coming is the birth of the Christed humanity. Why would Jesus want to return? He's already done it. It was a very difficult experience. He seeded the entire universe with this force. Now the force has to be us.
Yes, and that brings us back full circle. So it's our time. Yeah. And I think people know that. There's a seriousness now.
They do.
There's a sense of high priority now.
But I don't think many of them, because of the dreadful presentation, both by the churches and the New Age's incredible disdain of Jesus, because they have never done the work and they don't know anything about anything. I mean, I'm getting wild, but it's true. If you don't connect with the Christ force, beyond religion, you'll never connect with the radical nature of true, authentic passion and action. If you look at Jesus's life and look at the other great teachers of humanity's lives, they seem to have had a very cushy, comfortable life compared to the one that Jesus risked. And that, to me, is a tremendous sign of Jesus's authenticity. I don't mean that Jesus is greater than the Buddha. I do mean that there's something coming through in Jesus which is perfectly tailored to the desperation of our time. Love made him desperate to give everything to illumine humanity. And that desperation, that sacred, glorious desperation, made him risk a journey of such intensity that he was able to birth the divine for us and in us, the whole human race, in a way that none of the other teachers quite managed. They're all wonderful. We can learn a great deal from them. But what we learn most from Jesus is flaming, unstoppable, passionate, wild, holy courage of love. That's the great key.
That's a good place to leave it. We're now at an hour, actually even a minute over. What a fantastic hour it's been. I see. I didn't tell you. I told you the truth at the beginning. This is going to be an hour on fire, swinging from the rafters. Wow, what an hour it's been. Andrew Harvey, thank you so much. And I want to invite you all.
Thank you for being with me. Thank you for being so receptive.
Fantastic.
I love you,
yes.
And I hope that you'll come and join me in these transmissions. I really hope so. And that you'll dive into my book, Radical Regeneration. It's written very calmly and soberly. So everything that you're getting in lightning flashes, you'll get in calm, sober prose, which was a crucifixion, but a resurrection.
Okay. Good. So join us next week. So I'm back next week, same time, Wednesday, next week, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern, Embodying Higher Consciousness, a new way of living on the earth. The very first unveiling of this free program with Jude Currivan, Andrew Harvey. We've been putting on the screen the page you can go to sign up to be part of this program. And if you miss the live program, we're going to send it to you in email if you sign up. So be sure to sign up and join us next week. You'll be glad you did. So a big thank you, viewers. Thank you for being with us for this really, really important, just wonderful conversation, but important conversation. Andrew Harvey, thank you so much. I look forward to being with you again next week. And then
Me too. I love you, Steve. I love Humanity's team.
Love you too, Andrew.
Thank you for giving me your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for just your many, many contributions to an awakened world. And by the way, I've been standing here. When Andrew says he's been crucified the last 13 years, he has been. I've watched all of this go on in the industry. He's been standing strong
Look at me now, don't worry.
in this passion for
I'm
13
just
years, and
starting.
some people
Yeah.
take it wrong. And Andrew says,
They
well,
can
that's
try,
just...
but they can't succeed, and they won't succeed with you either. Don't worry.
Okay, so let me pull the camera back. I want to show you Jim Gray, who's our producer. He's the guy. There we are. That's me on the couch. There's Jim over there. Jim brings us in here, brings on all of the programs. It's hard to do a live program like this out on social media. So Jim, thanks for making it happen. Also, Andy Guski, Nanette Kennedy, Dee Meyer, Garth Catterall. So my partners and colleagues that create this program, that promote it, and that are making it happen now. Thank you to all of you guys. So join us next week. We'll be back next week with our first unveiling. Can't wait to do it. This was just a preamble to that. So if you think we were on fire here, wait till you see us next week. Going to be real exciting. That's a 90-minute program. 60-minute, we're going to watch the free program, and then 30-minute live Q&A. Okay, have a great week, everybody. Love and peace and blessings.
Steve.
Been fantastic. Thank you, my
Thank you
friend
so much.
Andrew. Oh, thank you, Ben. Wonderful.
God bless you, my
really
darling.
wonderful. Blessings. Namaste, everybody.